Welcome back to The Full View. The SABC will broadcast live the announcement of the 2018 Matric results on its various platforms come Thursday evening. Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga is set to announce the results at 6 p.m. Well, that will be preceded by the technical briefing at 4 p.m, which will be carried out by the SABC News Online team. Quality assurance body Umalusi has approved the release of the results, saying it's satisfied with how the exams were conducted. For more on the story, we are now joined by SABC's Mahlako Komane. Very good evening to you, of course. So Umalusi has approved the 2018 Matric results. Essentially, what are we expecting come the announcements?
Well, I think the big thing for a lot of people that everybody wants to see is what has happened to the pass rate this year. We know that it has been going up from about your 2015, moving from 70 to about 75%. So that it would be quite interesting to see what the Department of Basic Education has managed to achieve, the class of 2018 as well. And also the different various provinces, you know, there's that competitive or friendly rivalry between the provinces to see who has done what and who has managed in terms of having a better pass rate for the year. We know with the Eastern Cape is also quite important, a province that has been seen to be quite worrying and battling in terms of how they're performing in terms of their percentages there. We know that, you know, they were sitting last year at about your 65%, and this was an improvement from about 59%. It will be quite interesting to see that whatever interventions were put into this province to try and get them to, you know, at least get into that 70% mark pass rate for their matriculants, if those have been fruitful. So that's also going to be quite interesting. And obviously that rivalry between your Free State, your Western Cape and Gauteng, to see who's going to snatch that top position. We know MEC Lesufi quite hard set on getting to that #1 spot in the country as well. And it will also be one thing that we will be having this year as well, would be the introduction of sign language as a subject that was written for the first time this year. It would be great to see what those students managed to achieve. Was it a success? What necessary improvements will they need to have? And obviously we are also expecting IEB to be releasing their results as well in the 3rd. Well, with them, we know that they normally sit at about your 98. They've been doing the 98 point for the past 4 years, so it would be quite interesting to see have they gone up, have they gone down. But I mean, they sit at about just over 13,000 candidates that sat for their paper, opposed to the over 700,000, almost 800,000 actually, that set for the National Senior Certificate. So
let's talk about the IB and the National Senior Certificate and the differences and the debates that we see year on year. We've also seen tweets coming from MEC Panyaza Lesufi speaking about specifically the maths mark being uprated.
Yes, we know obviously maths being one of those gateway subjects that government has been trying to get students to take on and also to excel in, you know, the environment that we live in. But when it comes to the adjustment of marks, it is a decision that Umalusi is responsible for. And I think judging from MEC Lesufi's tweets, his gripe being that the National Senior Certificate candidates did not have their marks adjusted upwards. They did not have their marks bumped upwards, as opposed to the IEB students who had been given the privilege of having some of those marks adjusted positively, upwardly, so speaking. But we know that MEC Lesufi has always, he said sometime last year that if he could, he would do away with the different examinations that your IEB and your I think the Cambridge system as well be one of the examinations that people sit for in Gauteng outside of the National Senior Certificate, saying that he feels that it was quite important that learners, there is no qualification, there is no entry point at any university or, you know, any tertiary institution that asks you if you're IEB or not. That's specifically for IEB, so that everybody should write the same standard of examination or the same type of paper. But also obviously that also brings into the throw of now trying to find out how do you set that quality, who then determines what is quality, because you have some people that are saying that the IEB is better than the NSC. The NSC people will obviously tell you that the National Senior Certificate is of good quality. So that obviously that opens a different type of debate. And as you've seen with his Twitter interaction with people that he had on Twitter, some saying that, well, perhaps the IEB was then adjusted because the paper was hard. So that it just brought that type of fray, where he was feeling that perhaps the NEC candidates for the mathematics were not adjusted because it was the quality is beginning. They're showing that things are beginning to look better in the national senior certificate for those candidates as well. But also, just before we go, Shante, we also had, that paper that was the teacher that had been accused of giving answers to pupils for the geography paper. Those pupils also rewrote. It will also be interesting to go back and see what happened there. Did this not disturb them? But those learners are also expected to get their matric results with everybody else.
Well, we're just going to have to wait and see. SABC will be broadcasting the announcement live for SABC in studio. Mahlako Komane just taking us through a prelude into the Matric certificate examinations as well as the IEB examinations and the results to be announced come Thursday this week. Well, some other news.